Click subscribe to get daily Manchester United content from passionate Reds, only on All for United.
Hello and welcome to All for United's fan preview for Manchester United against Norwich this weekend. Welcome to everybody watching. Welcome to my lovely panel of guests. Remember to get in the comments with your opinions whilst you're watching along with us, guys, and we'll get stuck straight into the conversation. I don't think we can pass up the opportunity to have a quick word on Erik ten Hag again. I mean, I think we did this last week because there was a little bit of rumblings, but there's been more news this week, Baines. So your initial thoughts on the imminent, apparently, appointment of ten Hag? Happy?
Yeah. To be honest, I was happy with both ten Hag or Poch. I think they're both. Oh my god! Oh, sorry. I thought Atletico scored. Sorry. I've got it on the side.
Everybody's a bit distracted.
I was happy with either. To be fair, both really good coaches. There's a few Ajax fans that I've seen, sort of nothing major. I'm not like friends with them or anything, but they've said nothing but praise. Sky Sports did a segment with Ajax fans, and they said they were like, he's probably one of the greatest managers that they've ever had, which is saying a lot considering Ajax are a huge club. So that, I'm really, to be fair, really looking forward to it. I just hope that everything that we've seen with the structure of United and what the managers have had to deal with previously under the Woodward era, let's call it. I just hope that doesn't haunt him. He does come with a bit of a reputation to work with the football inside. So he obviously works with Overmars. He did work with Overmars, and he works with Van der Sar. I just hope that structure at United can help him in any way. It seems like there was some discussion going on whether he wants to be involved with the transfers or negotiations with players. I suppose that's been sorted as they verbally agreed on that. So, yeah, really looking forward to it. Hopefully now in the next sort of year or so, we can really see a great style of players everyone's been requesting and some positive news that we all really need. Yeah,
man, I agree. Stu, your thoughts on ten Hag? And it sounds like he's been quite firm in his negotiations, which is, I suppose, good to see. He's a man that knows what he wants. So,
yeah, I've been calling for ten Hag for a while. Pochettino, I wasn't interested in. People can point to what he did at Spurs, what he's done at Southampton, but I don't think he would fit in our club. We'll know what type of manager ten Hag is going to be if he has laid out his plans before he signs the contract. He's made it quite clear to the board what he expects, who he wants to bring in, the types of players he wants to bring in, and the system that he wants to play. He's going to have, in my opinion, he's going to need 5 years. Anybody who suggests after 2 or 3 years is too, is long enough for him. It's not. We've needed a manager to be in the hot seat for 5 years. We don't know where we would have been under Ollie. There's a lot of people that were not a fan of Ollie. Thought it was down to coaching, thought it was down to this, and thought it was down to that. It's an absolute naive kind of watching of football, really, because football it's way more simple than what people make out. And I think that Ten Hag has got a ability to play a pendulum style of football. If anyone's watched Ajax, you'll notice that they play in a pendulum style. So they attack as a unit, defend as a unit, and he can hold his position, and the players can hold their positions quite well. I think it can only be good news for us, but time will tell on that one.
Yeah, definitely. We'll come to you now. Am I saying your name right if I say Satis? Is that right?
Yeah, no, that's correct.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, how are you feeling about the Ten Hag news this week?
I think if it was either going to be Poch or Ten Hag, each would have had risk and reward. But I think what I like myself about Ten Hag is that he has a philosophy that not only implements the first 11, it's the other structural developments around the club. So he looks at like the academy, the reserves, the actual training facilities. And one thing I did like what he said was that he would work on the conditioning of the players to make us like one. I know Ollie did try and he wanted us to be one of the hardest working teams in the league. But I just feel like with his better game management, I think he's going to be a good leader for our club. I mean, and I agree with what Stu just said there. It's going to take minimum 3 to 4 years to even get us to the point of challenging, because we still got a lot of deadwood that needs replacing and stuff like that. But overall, I'm excited, which is good, which is always a good thing. I mean, as fans, it's nice to be excited about the appointment of a new manager. I mean, even if it was Poch, I would have still been behind him, and I would have got behind him. But I think this is something different, and I think this is taking United out of its usual comfort zone, which I think is impressive. So hopefully, if he has that sort of structural development back in as the structure of the club, then I think we could be on to something promising. That's the truth.
Yeah, definitely. John, your thoughts? Are you filled with excitement even in this kind of horrible period of the season where things aren't particularly positive on the pitch?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's obviously a step in the right direction. Appointing Ten Hag. I think it's the first appointment made post Fergie where you feel that as a coach is on an upward trajectory. Obviously, as people mentioned, it's not without risk. He's obviously negotiated very hard during his interview and conversations after then. Obviously, he'll probably have more power than the previous managers since Sir Alex retired, but whether he'll have enough and whether he'll be able to ship out players who don't fit his style, and he'll bring in the players which he requires, and that obviously we got to be much more efficient as a football club. And yeah, I mean there are doubts about that. But obviously it's a positive step in the right direction. You'll bring his own people in, and hopefully we can see an improvement over time. But it will take somewhere between 3 to 5 years if it goes well. So, but yeah, it's an encouraging sign.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think there's a bit of an acceptance now that we are. Well, at the start of the season, maybe a few people thought we were close to the finished product, but obviously as this season's gone on, it's become pretty clear that that's not the case. So yeah, I think everybody is starting to be a bit more patient and realistic with our expectations now. Reese, for you, is there any worry that the kind of Dutch style hasn't really worked in England as such? Like, for us, especially with Van Gaal, I mean, I know some people would have been fans of him, but I don't think you could say it was the best of periods of management. And obviously there's been other Dutch managers that haven't quite imprinted their way of playing properly in the Premier League. Do you get that, Reece?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's one I've probably not been that prepared to answer. But but no, I think in terms of Ten Hag, I mean, he seems a guy who has a bit of a no-nonsense attitude to him, which I think is the more encouraging thing that we're all looking forward to. I think with Van Gaal, there was still a kind of a softness to Van Gaal, I think, a little bit in there. Plus, he was coming in at a pretty difficult time. I think he was successful, though. I think looking back, I think if he'd given more time, did he get third in an FA Cup that season? And that wasn't enough at the time, was it? And then, obviously, with hindsight, you look back and think, actually, it wasn't that bad at all. And given a few more years, he could have maybe done a lot more with that. But I think with, we've learned some hard lessons, haven't we, over the last number of years now. And I think we've got to get this one right. And I think the board is hopefully starting to realise that, it's, they've got a brand. But if that brand starts deteriorating, i.e. on the pitch, and the results are not coming, then it's worthless anyway, isn't it? So hopefully the two are starting to meet in the middle a little bit, and Ten Hag is a first kind of real reset step of getting us forward. But no, I really hope so. I think the only kind of concerning thing I've got a little bit with the Ten Hag thing at the moment is that it's not already over the line. I get that there's still a lot for him to play for with Ajax, but I would have liked to have known that he was done quite a few games before the end of the season. So hopefully in the next sort of 7 days, we'll hear an official statement from the club about him coming on board. But
yeah, I think it's a bit of a weird state of affairs at the moment, isn't it? Really, because they've kind of made a big thing about the fact that they're not going to announce it until after the Dutch Cup final. But it still ended up coming out. It's not come obviously not come out from the club, but it still made its way out into the public domain anyway. So I'm not sure what difference it makes now, to be honest. If everybody kind of knows about it already, the distraction's already there, isn't it? Anyway, isn't it? So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one, but that aside, because I think there'll probably be some sort of coverage about the Ten Hag appointment when it is made official, so we won't dwell on it for too long. We have to live in the now, and we've got a game on Saturday, which I'm not gonna gloat, guys, but I don't have to watch it. So
That's a good thing at the moment. Though.
I'm missing my first game for quite a while, but yeah, I've got other things on Saturday, so I'm the lucky one. But I'm sure I'll have to watch it later on in the day. But yeah, after Saturday, I think a little bit of hope has slipped for most fans if it hadn't already slipped already. They've got a bit of making up to do again, haven't they, Bainesy?
Yeah, I think I said last week. I said if they lose on Saturday, I'm not going to watch another game, and here I am. I'm going to sit there on Saturday watching another game. I don't know. I really don't know what to expect from these lot. You touched on the whole. All the hope has gone for top four. Now that was the case about 2:30 on the Saturday, and then Arsenal played and they lost. And then all that hope sort of was like, well, they lost. Really, no one's really a loser here because Arsenal lost, and then I think someone else dropped points as well. West Ham dropped points. Tottenham were the real winner over the weekend, I suppose. But I don't know. You just don't know what you're going to expect. I mean, throughout the whole season, we've really struggled against like the relegation teams, like the relegation fodder, as they call it. But I just don't know what to expect. Do we go out there and blitz a team because we can do that for 30 minutes? We haven't seen that for a while, or do we just go back into our shell again? It's such a confusing time to watch and be a Man United fan at the moment. I would love to call it and say, yeah, it's Norwich, we're going to smash them and blah blah blah. But I can't get giddy about it. I can't look forward to that game on Saturday and go, oh, it's Norwich. Yeah, there's going to be goals here. We're going to smash them in. Blah blah blah. I just can't see it. I really can't. And I'm the optimistic one. I like to think, but I don't know what to expect. I really don't know.
Yeah, I think a few of us are in that kind of position as well, because I would always say I'll look on the bright side, and I'll always be looking ahead to other fixtures and thinking, if United can get the points there, and there's other teams that could drop the points there, but it's kind of getting that way. Stu, do you think a win reignites any hope? I mean, we keep coming back to it, but there is the North London derby. That's them two have got a fight out between them, and West Ham have got the distraction of Europe at the moment, which who knows how long that'll go on for. Does it raise any hopes, or is it kind of done for you and it's onto viewing next year, really?
Yeah, it's one of those, really. I mean, Saturday will be it'll just be a run-of-the-mill game of football. We'll either win the game or we won't. It's as simple as that. The players that take the pitch, I would suggest, because I think with McTominay and Fred are missing, I would suggest that obviously Matic is going to play then. I know Varane's still injured, isn't he? Shaw's missing, so it's the team's likely to pick itself quite easily, really. I think Ronaldo's struggling with a shin injury, something I've read today as well. So, in terms of how we approach the game, I don't think it'd be any different to how we approach the last 10 games that we've played. In terms of how the players will approach the game mentally, physically themselves, I don't think it'd be any different to how we've approached the last 10 games or played in the last 10 games. I just think at the moment, for the way that we are and the way that our squad is playing, common sense has gone right out the window in terms of football, in terms of basic football. And you can't do that. You can't achieve anything in any match, in any level, when your common sense for the game goes out the window. And that's unfortunately what we're having. We've got too many, what we class as top professionals making basic errors, panicking on the, when they got the football. Any one player that's really probably turned everybody's eye just recently is Fred. The way that he's able to. See, the thing with Fred is when he's up against it, when he's got a player behind him, he panics. but when he plays in the 8 role, he's a lot freer. It does mean though that unfortunately I think he'll play Pogba and Bruno, which is a bit of an issue for me because you can't play both on the same side because they both want to play the same type of football. And it also suggests that we'll probably play, and I would play Elanga through the middle because I think out of Sancho and Rashford, he's our best option for a number 9. A false 9 doesn't work for us. We don't have the personnel to operate a false 9. So I think the team, unfortunately, is going to pick it. Is going to pick itself. Whether or not there's a glimmer of hope. You have to go into every match winning anyway with the the thought process you're going to win. And so Saturday should be no different. I've been watching United since 1977, and this is the problem with, and choose my words carefully here, but the millennial fan, they don't kind of understand the trajectory of where Manchester United are. If you look
Thanks,
at
Stu, mate. Appreciate that.
If you look at the club's history, you'll see that we're in the standard cycle of where we from when we first won a title to when we last won a title. We're in this cycle at the moment. It took me 26 years to see any kind of real success with a club. 26 years, and unfortunately, the fans are going to have to understand and realise it could potentially take 26 years again. It's just life. It's just football, and you've got to just suck it up. As a fan, you've just got to suck it up. Even in our group, we have players moaning, "Oh, I can't take any more," and all this kind of stuff. It's football, man. Get a life and enjoy it. And this is the problem. This is the problem with the current fan base. We can't enjoy it. People can't enjoy it. They're not used to winning. There's a group of fans that have been spoiled since Sir Alex Ferguson came to the club, and they can't quite get to grips with the modern day football and how football actually goes. And we're in this trajectory, as I say. If you look at our history, you'll see exactly where we are. And we're in our dip. And this is what happens traditionally with our club. We're in this dip. Ten Hag could come in. The players could suddenly pull their fingers up, but and start to play football, but you won't. You've got to just almost take a deep breath and understand where we are, and take one game at a time, I'm afraid, guys. Sorry to be so blunt, but you've just got to look at it from a different set of eyes occasionally. Bainesy knows what I'm like.
So we've got another 16 years then, Stu, yeah?
Look, potentially, yeah. You have to.
Oh,
Great,
dear.
fantastic.
Open your eyes. You've got to open your eyes.
No, you're
sometimes.
right. Yeah, you're right.
You're not. It's not a given. It isn't a given. The shape of modern day football has completely changed. When we were dominating, there was only Jack Walker that was spending 500 plus million, and he bought Blackburn Rovers a title. Now you've got Newcastle, you've got City, you've got Liverpool spending, Chelsea. Roman Abramovich was the one that changed the face of football. People seem to forget this. They all think it was City. It was actually Abramovich.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And for us, we're better off taking 2 or 3 years, having a bit of a break, and then looking at, getting the club built from scratch, because that's what you're going to have to do, because you're unfortunately playing catch up, not just to billionaires, but to trillionaires now in Newcastle. And you can't keep doing that unless the face of football changes. I'm afraid this is where we are, and we've got to look at it and understand, and then hopefully we'll start looking at it again. And who knows where we'll be in 10 years' time. We could be having the same conversation. This is the thing about football.
Yeah, it feels like we're having the same conversation every week, but a lot of it is based around maybe not the effort of the players, but it was a very ill-disciplined performance on Saturday. I think we could all agree. Brian's got a few comments saying that the players need to step up big time. He also has the very optimistic. I think we'll thrash Norwich 1-0. That is kind of how it is at the moment. Satya, what sort of performance are you expecting? Are you expecting them to bounce back after? I mean, we have, like I said, we've been saying it every week. Are they going to step up and give us something and show that they can actually perform as a unit and perform in a disciplined manner and not lose their heads? Because I think it's quite clear that they lost their heads and composure, especially Ronaldo, obviously, as we all saw.
I think looking at it, they owe it to us more than anything else. They owe it to the fans that have stood by them no matter what throughout season after season, the dips, the up and down. It's just Saturday was the only game I can probably say this season that I probably lost my head watching it, because that was the one where I just thought to myself, do you know what? They've got no care in the world. This is the most disconnected I've ever felt to a Manchester United side ever since supporting him. And that was what was worrying. It was almost the fact of no one cared. It was almost like no one actually thought to themselves, hold on a minute, we've got a chance here. We went 1-0 down, and then it was almost like we shut up shop and thought, okay, the game's gone. We might grab a draw, we might nick a goal, we might get a chance. And that's the worrying thing. And I think going into even Saturday's game, we're all sitting there thinking, Norwich might even get a draw at Old Trafford. I wonder if we'll score a goal against Norwich. And I think that's where it becomes worrying. And you think to yourself, when the reality check is like, I like to be quite a realist about United and where we are. And even at the start of the season, when the signings were made, Varane, Sancho and Ronaldo, I said, look, I think we'll still be struggling to get into the top four, regardless. I said, I don't see us winning the league, because just didn't see a cohesive unit. And I think that was what was worrying. It was just all a little bit a group of individuals without us being a team. And I think that's what is shown throughout the games this season, that we are just a collective, just a good few individuals. And there's not really much team ethic there. And I think it is worrying to see it, but they do owe us a performance. They do owe us it. But then we can't get carried away. We could beat Norwich. We should beat Norwich. That's if we look at the facts, we should beat Norwich. But us sitting there worrying, thinking we're not gonna, we might not beat Norwich, is showing where our level is at the moment. And it's like what Stu said, like it's not a bad thing to be realistic and say, look, we're going through a bad patch, we're going through a few bad years. It might get worse to get better. Like that is the part of football, that is the part of the game. But I just think, but one thing I just can't ever allow and ever accept as a Manchester United fan, and as a football fan in general, is that the lack of effort, just that lack of just giving that bit of oomph. It's like, even when I watch the game on Saturday and I see, like, I know Matic hasn't got the legs anymore and stuff like that, but it's just they just give up. And you think, how does it feel as fans if you're giving up and we're watching you give up? I mean, what are you doing for us? Like, you're not making us feel motivated, or you're going to make us feel to encourage you to do better, or give us the confidence that, oh, you know what, you might turn it around. And then you see in training, you see the training pictures they put on Instagram, and you think, oh, look, everyone looks happy as Larry. Like, you know, we might actually see a good performance. But as soon as they get on the pitch, it's almost like they don't know each other. That's what the worrying thing about it is. It's just, we're just not a team at the moment. And I do think it will take a few more years. It needs to be a proper rebuild. But hopefully, the thing is, it's the hope that does kill you in the end, because you think to yourself, do you know what? It's that reliance on everybody else thinking. It's like after United's game, I was thinking to myself, oh, look, Arsenal have lost. Maybe imagine if Tottenham lose now. Imagine West Ham lose tomorrow. And obviously 2 out of the 3 did. And you almost kick yourself even more thinking, only if we scored against Leicester that last minute, or only if we did this. And it's all if, buts, and maybe. But the reality is we shouldn't be in this position, and we put ourselves in this position. And I think just for us going forward for the rest of the season, they just owe it. They just owe it to the fans. Even if Ralph does introduce like the young academies, or just some of the reserve players, like I'm more than happy, because if they're going to give their all and they're actually going to make me as a Manchester United fan for the remainder of the season to feel excited, then that's something that I will cherish for the remainder games of the season. But when you watch them give that lack of effort, it just does. It actually, I know it sounds weird, but it actually makes you feel emotional, because you think to yourself, do you know what? Like, we'll do anything to be in their positions, to either just get a kick of the ball, or even to just step out or sit on the bench or something like that. But I don't feel they have that same sort of feeling as what we do as fans, and that's right. Because in their mind, they just probably look at it, some of them, as just a job, that I'll get my weekly wage at the end of the week. That's it for them. They go home and they live the rest of their life. But the impact it has on the fans and the whole club as a whole, it is massive. And I think if you're an inspiring player looking up to these people, and you're seeing the lack of effort, or not tracking back, not like, you know, encouraging your teammates, or not saying, look, do you know what, we can turn this around. It's not really inspiring whatsoever. But I think going into the game on Saturday, I do believe we'll have enough quality to beat Norwich in the end. It might be a 1-0, 2-1. So hopefully, it'd just be nice to actually win a game. I think that's what it is.
God.
I think we've had one in the last 8 that we've won against Spurs. So it'd just be nice to just win a game and we can actually look at the table and see the green win symbol for once. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's great.
It'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be lovely. I mean, I think the deflation is the kind of thing that people are finding hard to deal with. Like, they aren't giving us much to cheer about, and they're quite a difficult bunch to get behind at the moment, aren't they? I mean, Mike's just popped up in the comments there saying about the disconnect, and it's something that I think all of you have mentioned over the last few weeks and on this show. John, do you think? I mean, if they're not going to perform for us necessarily or for each other, is there a case that if they know the new manager's coming in and who it is, that the ones that are intending to stay could step it up a little bit more and, you know, give a little bit more than they have done in recent weeks?
It's hard to say, isn't it? I think you'd like to
Shouldn't be.
So.
Shouldn't be hard.
Like to think so, but I think, like a lot of fans, I'm one of them. I've lost faith in this team, and I think it just feels like we're going through the motions, doesn't it? Now, I think we've practically given up on this season. The real thing we got to try for is maybe can we even get into Europe? You know, let alone this. Forget about Champions League. Just get into Europe. I think that's we're really fighting, and I think it's fed on to the players, and I think they're just going through the motions at the moment. I mean, the interesting thing about the Everton game is you think about first 20 minutes or so, we actually played quite well, you know, and we did have a couple of chances. You do think if one of those goes in before Everton get their deflected goal, it could be an entirely different game then, couldn't it? But we all know about the lack of effort and all that. It was inexcusable. But I do think it'll be interesting on Saturday in terms of who actually gets the first goal, because I think that if we get it, and particularly if we get it early, then hopefully we might go on to win, you know, maybe 2 or 3-0 or something. But if Norwich were to get the first goal, it could, I reckon the ground could get pretty toxic if the players start putting in a performance like they did against Everton, and it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, of course, maybe the announcement of the new manager might have an impact. And I've been saying for quite a while that we are due a winning run, because we haven't really had a winning run this season. I think the maximum number of games we won in a row in the league is 3. You know, throughout this season. So, you know, it's can we even get 4 wins in a row now? You know, it's we're even asking that now. But you've got to. I think we hopefully should win, and if we do get the first goal, I do think we'll probably go on to win. But you know, as Satis was saying, would you even consider us getting a goal at the moment the way we're playing? But you know, only time will tell. But hopefully, some of the players will raise the game if and when the managers announce.
Yeah, Reece, do you think we're going to see any cohesion? I think that's kind of one of the main problems at the moment. They're just not really playing as a team, and like John alluded to there, I think, like you said, the first goal is important, and maybe if we do get a first goal, they can actually go on to put a performance in, because they just seem to capitulate when the back's against the wall. They don't seem to have that same sort of desire, and maybe not desire, but just ability to come back from behind and deal with adversity like they did last year. But you know, it's a lot of the similar players, but it just seems to have evaporated this year. So do you think, you know, if we can get a goal early doors, it could be a different performance from us?
Yeah, I think so. I think just to touch on some of the other guys' points as well, I think Baines sort of mentioned in terms of just, I mean, we've all watched games where I think there's, you know, perhaps it's been a struggle, but we've created chances. United have always had those teams that have created chances, haven't they? And it's been entertaining to watch, even if it's, you know, it ends up being a draw. We've always created an abundance of chances. And I think that's been the most shocking thing this season, that the lack of chances created. I mean, Rangnick said at the end of the Everton game that he had no explanation as to why in 95 minutes a team can't score against a team that conceded 3 against Burnley. Just I had no explanation for it. I mean, that team should be creating chances, and we've seen it too many times this season where teams have just sat in against us and we've just had no answer. So yeah, we do need that goal just for confidence. I think in terms of the cohesion, I mean, you can't really put your finger on it other than the fact that there's some obvious glaring issues. Obviously, the captain's not. Is he fit for that role? There's obviously a massive question mark against Maguire this season. His form's obviously dipped, which hasn't improved his stake in that claim. I think generally there's divides in the camp, isn't there? There's a cultural issue, I think, with half the team that there's pockets of players that obviously I've got a language barrier with other players in the team, and I think they sit in little pockets within the camp, and that's not good for team cohesion. I think we see that quite a lot. You see it in training. If you ever watch the guys coming into training, they're always pocketed in those little cultural groups, which is not good when you're trying to, be part of a team and part of a tight-knit squad. So I don't know. I think for me, it's just the entertainment value of this season. I mean, if we were a team that were creating plenty of chances, scoring goals, but conceding the other end, I could sort of deal with that. And at one point with Ollie, we were doing that a little bit. It was like 3-2, 2-1, 4-2. We had those games where we were scoring goals and conceding, but at least we were creating chances. Not creating chances against Southampton and Burnley and Watford and not struggling against Norwich the last game. Ronaldo dodgy penalty against Norwich last game. Was it a bit soft?
Yeah, he was looking for it, weren't it, Ronaldo?
Yeah. So for me, it's just there does need to be a bit of a better cohesion. I think Rangnick could do with just stirring this one up, if I'm honest. Going with a completely different formation, or obviously he's got a fair few injuries, which I'm sure we'll touch upon at the end of the hour. But I think he's got no risk to just kind of sway it up a little bit, throw Hannibal in there potentially, and stir things up a little bit and go for it for a change. I think just try it, create some chances in the team. So yeah,
you've you perfectly teed me up there, is because that's what we're going to come on to next, as if you already knew, and I'm not sure you did. But what I wanted to ask was, I mean, we've been predicting or picking our preferred team basically for the last few previews, and it, as Stu said before, it just kind of pick itself with who's been available and who's been in any sort of form. But I think it's got to the point where the team that has been picking week in, week out just hasn't been working, and it does, like Reece said, need a bit of a shake-up. So I was going to come around you all and say, is the kind of a player that maybe hasn't started a lot or deserves an opportunity that you want to see given a chance against Norwich, or would you kind of go with the same sort of face and hope it works again? I mean, it's the first sign of madness, isn't it? Keep doing the same thing over and again and expecting different results, but it could be what Rangnick does. Bainesy, youth, have you got anybody in mind that you'd like to see and thinks deserves a chance?
I'm just thinking about it now. To be honest, it does actually just pick itself, doesn't it? Because okay, let's just go through the back four. I mean, the back four, what we've got, Delo. Is Delo injured? I can't remember now.
No, he's in training.
I don't think so.
He's all right.
So Delo, Lindelof, Maguire, and Telles, because Shaw's injured. Probably Matic, because McFred are out, which only would mean then Pogba and Bruno probably start in that midfield three. Ronaldo's injured, so I don't know who you play up front, whether that be Rashford, Elanga, Sancho, possibly in like a false nine. But yeah, there's not. I mean, I'm looking. I think about the bench, and there's not many there that scream at me. That does a. To be honest, there's been a few comments that throw the kids in. Yeah, sod it. Why not? Because these players, the players aren't going to do it. If the players can't be Everton, by the way, what makes them think they're going to go to Norwich and turn them over as well? There you go. Look, throw the kids in. So
throw the kids in.
I know we've still got something to play for, but we had something to play for against Everton. We had something to play for the week before at Leicester. We had something to play for at Atletico, and the same team are constantly letting us down. I don't understand how we've gone from going 1-0 down, and I don't know if this was everyone, but when last season when we went 1-0 down, I knew we would win. How weird is that?
Yeah.
And in some games, I was like, you know what? Let's go 1-0 down because then that
it triggered something. Yeah,
it triggered it because I remember games where it was 0-0 at half time, and we were lethargic, we were slow, and then we'll go 1-0 down, and all of a sudden, we'll have a moment of 20 minutes, and we'd be brilliant, and then we'll finish the game off, or we'll be 2-1 up, and then we'll end up scoring really, really late on a counter attack. And you had similar kind of things that happened this season under at the beginning where it was 1-1 against Leeds and then we just tore them apart, and then we had Villarreal and we had Atalanta. There was so many games where we went 1-0 down and we thought it's all right, we've been here so many times before, we'll end up getting a result here no matter what. And I don't know how we've gone from that to going 1-0 down and knowing that we're just going to lose. It's an incredible feeling. But in terms of coming back to the team, it picks itself. No one screams at me to say, yeah, you deserve a chance. I don't think any one of them do. But yeah, I can see a Pogba Bruno midfield with Matic because we haven't got anyone else. I can see Sancho, Elanga, Rashford because Ronaldo's supposedly injured. I don't know, he might be okay. And then the back four kind of picks itself, and we know it's going to be De Gea. So, yeah, a bit of a weird one. It's going to be. I think it's pretty straightforward with the team, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think just to touch on that, Bainesy, as well. I think the big game really, when you look back at the season, was that FA Cup game against Middlesbrough. We came back off just before going into the 2-week break. We'd beat Brentford 3-1. We'd beaten West Ham, who were like gunning for us at the time as well. And then we went into the FA Cup game, hoping to, pretty easy round, hoping to sort of go quite far in the cup. And went out on pens, and then it just went downhill from there. Drew against Burnley, drew against Southampton, managed to get a win against Brighton, but then struggled in the Champions League. So it's just been that was a big negative, I think, for Rangnick. I think that was a big turning point where.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually.
Yeah. That was the game where we had something to play for, I felt. But, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. I'll come to you in a second, Stu. Just Reece, what do we know about the injury news? Because I honestly haven't actually looked for for injury news. What's up with Fred? I didn't know Fred was injured.
I believe he's got a flexor.
Came off, didn't he? Yeah.
He came off, and apparently his hip flexor, and he's got no timeline on the hip flexor injury, so that means he's well, basically he's going to be ready for Saturday. I think Varane's obviously injured as well still. I think Shaw went in for surgery yesterday or the day before. So Tellers is going to be in until the end of the season, which means we haven't got much cover in that position either, to be honest. So a few injuries. I think Ronaldo was okay. He was in training, so I think Ronaldo's okay. He had a couple of sort of stud marks on his shin, which I think needed stitching up. So he should be all right. Put his famous shin pads on and he'll be fine, I think.
Man, they're one of the worst things about this season, them fucking shin pads, if you're asking me.
What is it, a photo or something?
It's himself. He's got a photo of him. That's what it is, isn't it?
I think he's supposed to. I think his family's on it as well, but the biggest image is
his kids in it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I didn't actually know that.
No,
that's funny.
Bad times. Anyway, we'll come back to the topic anyway. Blakey or Gav, who I never know what to call him when he's on, but Gav says that Hannibal deserves a chance. Is there any merit in that, Stu, or do you think you just stick with the experienced pros, considering we've still got something?
He's too lightweight. He's too lightweight at the minute. He needs to bulk up. It's all right saying chuck the kids in, but you've got to be very, 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 very careful with talented footballers. Which Hannibal is a talented footballer, but he needs to bulk up. If he's going to be in the first team squad next season, he's got to hit the gym. I know people are saying well, he's only a kid. It doesn't matter. If you've got any aspirations of playing football, you've got to be big and strong in the Premier League. So, no, I'd do something a bit radical, really. I'd pop Bruno as an 8 and I'd bring Mata in and play him as a 10. I think it'd be ideal for us against Norwich.
That's a good shout.
And I think
That's
Kai
a great
Wood,
shout.
Alanga through the middle, and Sancho and Rashford. And that is the best option I think we've got. I don't see the merits, as I said to you before, about playing Pogba and Fernandez in the same side because they both want to float immediately. But yeah, for me, Mejbri, good player, but he's not quite right. If you think when Chirateri played, he's quite lightweight. You've got to put yourself on that pitch. Just put yourself on that pitch. Anytime you're speaking about football, plant yourself on that pitch. And if you've got somebody like Mejbri playing, you're going to absolutely go through him straight away. That's what you do. That's what a seasoned professional will do.
Yeah.
You just imagine if Pepe was
smash
on that
into
pitch,
him.
Ramos was on that pitch.
Welcome to the Premier League.
Fernandinho was playing on that pitch. These are types of players that don't care who you are. Reputation means nothing. And you just lift him up, pick him up and drop him to one side. That's how football is. So you've got to be very, very careful with the players like Fernandez, who's a great left back. I think he's brilliant. You got to be very, very careful with Mejbri, young Charlie Savage. These are all solid players, but because there's no reserve league anymore, there's no men's football anymore. They're playing, against kids their same size. I know we got Paul McShane, who's our designated overage under 23 player, who's been doing some coaching at the same time, but they're just not strong enough at the moment. So they need a good summer. They need a good summer in the gym. If they're going to get promoted, if Ten Hag comes in and he wants them, gets them promoted, you've got to make sure, that they bulk up. So that's what I would do. I would do something a little bit radical. It's not going to hurt us. Matt's as cute as it gets when he's on his game. People are saying he hasn't got the legs. Well, tough. Get on with it. You're a professional footballer. You're paid to play for Manchester
Playing for 60 minutes.
Yeah, you should be ready to go at any one time. And I think that would be perhaps our best option. The rest kind of picks itself, doesn't it? Let's be honest. But that's what I would do. Something a bit radical, but I think it'd work.
So you're thinking like a midfield 2 of Matic and Bruno, then Mata behind Ronaldo and with Rashford and Sancho either side.
Yeah. So you play that, but you're then reliant, by the way, don't forget, on Sancho and Rashford to cover the fullbacks and just cover the wider areas and just tuck in when they need to for out of possession. But
basically, work hard on the pitch.
Yeah, exactly. But don't forget, when you're out of possession, you always migrate into a 4-4-2 type of system anyway. So that should play into Mata's hands. Mata's an absolute master at the 30 yards in the middle of the pitch, at finding space, controlling it and picking a pass, and that's what we need. We need that type of player. Bruno's good, but Bruno has this tendency to panic on the football a lot more than what people realise. And then Bruno also chases the ball a lot. Mata won't chase the ball. He'll find the space, and that's what we need. That's what you need. I'm not quite sure what Norwich will offer. I think Norwich themselves know they're down. They're just playing for pride. But Norwich will think they can come to Old Trafford and get a win. That's one thing they will be thinking today. They'll be thinking they can actually get a win. Now, whether it'll help them in their, in their bid to stay up, I don't think so. But they'll come to think they can get a win. And they'll be a tough opponent. They won't be difficult to break down. They're good on the attack. I know Williams won't be playing, will he? Because he's only on loan, which is good because he's been having a great season. They're not a bad team, Norwich. But I've said this, about Burnley, Southampton, and other teams. You don't need superstars, and I hate that phrase. That word, by the way, superstars, winds me up more than anything. You don't need these top-end players to become a good, solid Premier League team. You just need good footballers who know where they need to be at any given time on the pitch, in possession and out of possession. And Norwich will come and they will do that. They will offer that, just like Burnley did, just like Southampton, just like Brighton did, just like most teams have come to Old Trafford. They've been well put together, well drilled. Okay, and Dean Smith knows his gravy. He beat us, don't forget, before he got sacked with Villa, and he knows how to play us. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's not too dissimilar to when Villa beat us 1-0. So I think yes, I agree that he needs mixing up, but you've got to be very, very careful on how you mix it up and what you do with the younger players.
Yeah, I would agree. As much as we do want to see these exciting talents, and it's not just the fact that some of them might not be physically ready as well. It's not the situation for me to chuck them in. I don't think you don't want to chuck them into a crisis and ruin confidence right from the get go. I don't think it's a. I think you introduce them in when things are going well and they get a taste for it that way, and then you ruin them later. Don't do it yet.
Ruin them later.
don't do it straight away. Come on, but yeah, so matters your curveball, Stu. Sati, have you got a curveball to throw at me selection wise? I'm not forcing you to. It's just if you got.
The only one that came to mind that is the other sort of attacker that sits on the bench, but I think he's been unwell in the last couple of weeks. Was Jesse, wasn't he? He was being unwell. So Lingard, someone just said it in the comments now.
There you go.
I mean, he was one that I did think about, and then I was looking against Everton as well. I was thinking to myself, I don't know if it says a lot that Ralph bought on Mata instead of Lingard. Was it a game for Lingard to come on, maybe to run in behind? He has got good movement. I mean, he has over the years in his little spells had good periods at United. I mean, he's the only one that I could think of. I mean, Cavani, he's out as well, isn't he? So he's not good. I don't think he's going to play.
Done now.
Yeah, that's out the window. I think Ronaldo, I think it'd be Ronaldo, Rashford, and Sancho will play. I think that would be the front three. Maybe I can't see Lingard going into the midfield, and with Fred and McTominay both out. I think he will stick. With Pogba and Bruno, and play Matic, and think to himself, "Oh, look, it's a home game. Let's try to get the crowd back on our side. Let's just go for it." So I think what most of the lads have said. I think it will just pick itself and be very similar to the team that finished the first half against Everton. I think that's what's. I think that's what we'd be looking at. Maybe be nice to get Lingard on and Mata on if the game's sort of fizzling out and we've got a couple of goals. But I can't see it being too dissimilar to what we played at Everton. But I think what you touched on with the kids, I think that's a very important thing as well. It's very easy to say just chuck them in there and just let them play. I mean, I think I was one of them on Saturday. I think. And then once you calm down and you think about it, you're like, you can't just throw them in the deep end and expect them to swim. There's got to be some sort of lesson beforehand to make sure that they're ready to have that little 5-10 minute cameos and stuff. But it's just I think even going back to the Leicester game a little bit is where I lost hope. It just felt like a testimonial. It almost felt like, okay, they've scored a goal, we'll score a goal now, and then that's it. We'll shake hands after the game. It's just hopeful. That's just my only worry about Saturday's game and with the players out there. It's just that are they going to just just take a free ride, or are they actually going to put in a performance? And like you said, it'd be very interesting to see if Norwich go 1-0 up. Wouldn't be surprised if they did. And another key thing is Dean Smith again. He narrowly lost to us 1-0 when he was Norwich's manager, but in December, and he beat us at Old Trafford with Villa. So he's always had a bit of know-how how to do well against United. So it'd be interesting to see. I think it'd be nice. I got a funny feeling Rashford might get a goal. He does like scoring against Norwich. He's done it a few times, home and away. I think he did it last season as well. So but apart from that, I think it does really pick itself apart from maybe, like they said, Lingard and Mata are the only two that I can see. Maybe I don't think Eric Bayer. I don't think you'll change the back four. Maybe Bayer, Lindelof. I can't see it.
Change the back four,
if you bring Lingard in, you got to take Ronaldo out.
Yeah, so
through the middle. So you
that's
play Lingard, Rashford. That's the only way you can get Lingard in.
Yeah, that is the only way that you can put him in. But I think it'll pick itself more than less, and the players on that pitch should be good enough to get the 3 points regardless. That's how you look at it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's been a lot of talk, John, about like we mentioned before. Is it worth playing players that aren't necessarily going to be around next year? I mean, it's popped up in the comments. Why play Pogba if he's already halfway to Paris? I mean, it's unlikely that Mata's going to stay. It's unlikely that Lingard's going to stay. Is it worthwhile playing these players, or would you still go with players that could still be here? Might not still be here. Sorry.
Well, it's quite simple, really. You pick your best team to win a game, and crucial word is team. And I think, obviously, Stu's mentioned previously, and I agree with him. You can't really play Pogba and Bruno in the same team, in my opinion. For me, Pogba, I don't think he really offers much to us now, unfortunately. When he came on in the Everton game, we were 1-0 down, and you think can he do something else back in the game? And I didn't think he did anything in particular. And I watched a podcast after the match review, and they said basically it was almost like I was playing more for a red card than a draw the way he was actually playing. But I don't really see. We've tried this with Pogba before, haven't we? When we were playing him on the left wing last season under Solskjaer, I think there was only one reason for it, because they were just trying to fit him in the team, and Ollie clearly didn't trust him playing in the midfield, because that's why I get positioned with back Fred, because I don't think managers, whether it be Solskjaer, Mourinho, or even Rangnick, now I don't think they trust him in that position. It's interesting when it comes to some curveballs and that. Our lack of midfield options. Big shout out to our friend Kartik, might get his wish potentially with
Phil Jones in the six.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. I wouldn't mind seeing Phil Jones.
Oh no, we haven't resorted to Phil Jones
not in the midfield, but I mean, just see him give a chance, because we're saying about players, lacking the confidence and that, and not giving their all. Well, for a fact, Phil Jones will give his all. So why not throw him in there for a game, just to see how he does. I don't see why we got anything to lose there, really. I was at the Wolves game, and I suppose we're one of the best defensive performances I've seen all season from United players. So, I think, obviously injury prone and needs to and all that, but he's fit at the moment, so why not give him a game? So, I think personally, I don't really see the point in playing Pogba. I'll be honest, if you're going to play Bruno, the only way I play Pogba is if you drop Bruno. But I think Bruno offers something which I don't think any of our players, and he does give the ball away. Well, of course he does, but at the same time, he's also probably the only player who could potentially create something as well. So, for me, I wouldn't start Pogba.
Yeah, interesting point on Jones, actually, though, because I know a lot of people have called for Eric Bailly over the last few years, thinking that he maybe is the answer, but he's been getting in the squad ahead of a fit Eric Bailly for the last few weeks. So, maybe there is a small chance we'll see some of Phil Jones before the end of the season, possibly. But it's a bit dabbing on Eric Bailly, isn't it?
Forgot what a fit Eric Bailly was.
It's got
well, he was playing for international side, weren't he? And still not getting in our matchday squad, which is...
And he had a scrum hat on, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. He did.
Oh dear, Reese. I think we'll come to you for the last one, because you kind of set this ball rolling. You mentioned Hannibal, was it, that you think should get given a go, or is there anybody else that you kind of see? Do you agree with maybe the Mata call or the Lingard call?
I agree with Stu on the Mata call. I think annoyingly, I think he could have been used a lot more this season. I think it's just his technical ability, the way that we've struggled to kind of unlock that door. The teams are wise against a lot more tactically aware these days, aren't they? Coaches are a lot better. They're not just top six coaches anymore. They've filtered all the way down to the bottom half the table now as well. And teams are fitter, stronger. Everybody's got good setups and good nutritionists and all that kind of stuff. So teams are fitter and stronger against them. You don't play a Wimbledon anymore. No offense, Stu. That must have been your prime time there watching Wimbledon against me.
Dude, I'll tell you.
But, teams don't go out on the lash anymore the night before, and then the bottom half of the table. Everyone's very professional, and if they put their mind to it, as Stu mentioned earlier on, didn't get a shock result against you if they try hard enough and are tactically astute for 90 minutes in a match. So, for me, do I think Hannibal is worth a chance? I think you've got to use it sparingly. Don't throw him in there expecting him to just run around 2 or 3 players. Put him in the starting line. Maybe give him 15 or 20 minutes at the end of the game. That's how you introduce players. And he could have done that a little bit more for Hannibal this season when there were times when the games were dead or we needed something else. Just fit him in for 10, 15 minutes. So I would like to see him come in. I don't think maybe it's the right time to start him, but give him a chance. Something in the game at least, some time where he can impact the game, not 3 minutes before the end of the game. 10, 15 minutes where he might get 2 touches of the ball and do something with it and show a bit of a spark. So yeah, a little bit of that. I mean, I was going to throw Phil Jones in there just as a bit of not a meme or a joke, but genuinely the guy's fit enough. And as John mentioned, he has put in a couple of decent performances this season. I mean, let's be honest, Varane's injured. Maguire hasn't been particularly on song. Dafter things have happened, and could he shake it up that much? I don't think so. But again, would it surprise anybody? Probably not. But midfield, I think it's going to be probably Matic, Bruno, and Pogba, isn't it? Whether Pogba and Bruno can play together. Yeah. But I do agree with Stu. I would love to see Matic come in there because I think for me, he's been one of my favourite players in the most recent years. Just because of his technical ability, and when Rooney was still there as well, they worked really, really well together. So Matt was always kind of one of the guys that I always really enjoyed watching, and even at his Chelsea days. So I would love to see him come in, and I do think he's got a lot more to give, and I wish he had given a bit more this season, whether it's been through fault of his own, not wanting to be part of the setup, or it's just been through, the fact that the manager hasn't fit him in with Bruno being there and Pogba obviously being there as well. So, so I agree with the rest of the guys. I think the team pretty much picks itself. But I think as a shake-up, I agree with Stu. I would love to see Matt come into that number 10 position and see what he can do.
Cool. Right. Well, it's time for Baines' favourite part, Sky Sports part.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. The graphic is coming.
It's coming. Right.
All the new ones. This is a delight. Watch this. This is brilliant work. Get him on Sky Sports. Freaking love him. Change him for that idiot Jim White.
Right. So that's not the one. That's the one. Right. Is there any disagreements on that as a keeper and a back four? I mean, I think the only real argument points, unless you're going to actually argue for Phil Jones starting, is the right back slot, Dalot or Wan-Bissaka. I'll quickly go around all of you and let's get a vote and see we think that, because was it Wan-Bissaka started on Saturday, didn't it?
Yeah, Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so
I would actually put Wan-Bissaka in, personally speaking.
Okay.
He pretty much shuts down the whole right side.
I'd put Wan-Bissaka in, yeah.
Okay, so that's 2 votes for Wan-Bissaka. Who are we on?
I think this game will be Dalot.
Dalot.
I think Dalot will start this one.
2-1 to Wan-Bissaka.
Because we got Liverpool on Tuesday.
I'll go Dalot.
Oh, it's 2-1.
Get it. Oh no, 2-2. Sorry, my
2-2. Reece, you got the final call.
Final call. I think it'll be Dalot as well, and the reason I say that is because apparently they played a training game today.
Liverpool on Tuesday as well.
Liverpool Tuesday, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, is that midweek?
Yes, they might go a little bit more defensive with Wan-Bissaka, Mitro in the Liverpool game. I don't know. Yeah, I think he'll go Dalot. I think we've got to control this game and come at them, and Dalot provides a little bit more of a threat, doesn't he, going forward? So
yeah, right. So that's the relatively easy part done, and I'm glad you said Dalot because I can't be bothered changing the graphic. That was good.
That's the real reason I chose Dalot. Really,
I've changed my mind now.
You're a good man. Yeah, I think the main arguments are going to come in midfield. So, as ever, we're thinking it's some sort of 3, whether it's a 2 holding midfielders and a 10, or 2 8s and a 6. But Bainesy, what's your thing? Have you been swayed by Stu's Mata call, and are you willing to change your
to be
Pogba
honest,
Bruno?
I do like the Mata call. I'll be honest, I really do. But I'm not the tactician. I'm not the coach. I'm not the manager. So it's I'm only just seeing it from a fan point of view. I don't see what happens behind the scenes. The Mata call does make sense considering he did come on against Everton, so I can see that happening. But to start, I don't know. I think to start it could be. It's definitely Matic and it's definitely Bruno. I just don't know whether it's Pogba or Matic. I'll just go with the safe bet, and I think it would be Pogba.
Do we know if Fred and McTominay are definitely out of this game?
Both out.
Oh, they're both out. It's definitely confirmed.
McTominay's got a toe injury.
Oh, okay, that's him done. And then Fred went off, didn't he?
Yeah, he's got a hip injury.
Yeah, so it's definitely Matic and Bruno. I just don't know whether it'll be Mata or Pogba, and probably if we're going by recent games, it wouldn't surprise me Mata comes on and Pogba starts.
Yeah, are you sticking with your 3 then, Stu? With Bruno?
Yeah, I will stick with my 3, but common sense tells me that Mata won't start and it will be Pogba. But I'm going to go with my 3. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think we're kind of doing our preferred 11. We're picking our team, aren't we? Rather than So that might work against.
In that case, Bainesy, you go with Mata then. Good lad.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, honestly, I would. If it's my preferred.
Yeah, we'll say it's preferred. Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we think Ralph will pick a team thinking about the Liverpool game as well?
I don't know.
No.
He ever played
I
midweek?
don't think he can he?
No, absolutely no. Because for the best will in the world, fans.
No.
For the best will in the world, it's not happening. We're not beating Liverpool. It doesn't matter. We just aren't beating Liverpool. It doesn't matter. So no.
I would laugh so hard if we beat Liverpool. We're not going to beat Liverpool. Let's be honest.
The ultimate without John O'Shea incarnation.
You never know. I mean, just 5-0 at Old Trafford. I'm tempted not to even watch because it could be another embarrassment. I'm not looking forward to that game.
No, Sati, what's your 3 and how are you kind of configuring it? I suppose.
I think it's going to be Matic, Pogba, and Bruno.
Is that what you want, or is that what you think? Or is it both?
I think it's both. I think my reasoning for this one as well is even at Everton when Fred got injured, he had a chance to bring Mata on then, and we didn't. So that's one reason, and I think he will see it as that. Do you know what? Pogba starting in this game and being he probably class him as more match fit as well than Mata because he's obviously been playing more regularly. So I think it'd be Matic, Pogba, and Bruno. I think that's going to be the 3. I think that'd be the 3.
So it feels like we're on a vote between, like we said, Mata and Pogba at the moment, assuming that we're Matic has to play, doesn't he? And Bruno always plays. So, John, what's your call between Mata and Pogba? I think you've kind of alluded to it already.
Well, I think Ralph will go with Matic, Pogba, and Bruno personally. I think Matt having could be a good option, but I personally think it'll be Matic, Bruno, and Pogba.
Is that what you want?
Well, I think based on Fred not being available, then it's going to have to be. So,
And once again, then, Reese, you have got the deciding call between Juan Mata and Paul Pogba. Who thought we would be saying that at this point? But there you go.
Point of the season, I know. I'll add a little bit of a extra to this. So there was, from that injury news this afternoon, apparently they played a game in training where there was bibs against non-bibs, and it quite evidently the players with the non-bibs seem to be quite typically the starting 11. However, Pogba had a bib on, if that's anything to go by. But then so did Mata. So that doesn't resolve that debate either, to be honest.
It's Phil Jones. Phil Jones is not on the field.
He didn't have a bib on, but neither did he have any other attire on. That seemed to suggest
Surprised he hasn't
that
got a
was
cast
training
on.
either, so-
It was the winning team.
Yeah.
But I think he will. Gut feeling is telling me it's going to be the typical three of Matic, Bruno, and Pogba. What I would want is not Pogba in there and a Mata in there instead. That's what I would want. I just think
That's what
he's
you're
got a
getting
lot to give. We're wanting Luka Mata. Like a Luka Modric from last night. We want a Luka Mata in there, don't
just
we?
just half a Modric is perfect for us.
Half a
Don't worry about
Modric,
Yeah.
Would be
Muka,
nice.
Muka Modric, wasn't it? We called it.
Muka Modric.
Muka Modric.
Yeah. Well,
So, yeah,
that's-
I would hope for Mata, but I would suggest it would most likely be a Pogba, I think, to be honest.
Well, we're going with what we want, and it's a bit more interesting if we actually pick a different team for once, isn't it? So we'll go with that.
I think Matic typically only plays 60 minutes as well, so we'll probably bring him off and bring Mata on then to take his place. I'll have Everton potentially, so that's probably what Ralph will be thinking.
But that's totally the wrong move, though, isn't it? I mean,
I know, but
it doesn't work. Completely
trying to
wrong
get in the
move.
mind of the manager.
Right, so we got a midfield three, not necessarily in that shape, but I can't be bothered playing around with it. So Matic, Fernandes, and Mata. So all we got to do is pick a front three. Now we're assuming Ronaldo's fit. Yeah, if he's been training, even though he's got a big gash in his shin.
Yeah,
he's got his lovely little shin pads to protect him from that. Hopefully. So Bainesy, what's your front three that you want to see?
Rashford didn't have a bad game against Everton.
No, I didn't.
So I would go with the front three that we had last week, which was Ronaldo as the 9, Rashford and Sancho, either wing, doesn't matter. I don't think Rashford had a bad game, and to be honest, Sancho weren't. None of them were blistering, but we'll go with that 3.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that, but my opinion doesn't matter currently. Stu, what would you go for with your 3? What do you want?
Well, I want to see Alanga go through the middle with Rashford and Sancho. I'll decide. Alanga through the middle.
Nice.
So Ronaldo's gone for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can take his little Ponzi cut on his shin and rest it up. Put some ice on it.
All right. I like your bold calls because I'm not the biggest Ronaldo fanboy in the world, but that's a whole other thing. That one. Sati, what is your front 3?
I think Ronaldo through the middle and Rashford and Sancho on the flanks.
That's 2 votes for that particular trio. Okay, John, who's your 3?
I'll make it a third, though. I'll go Ronaldo, Sancho, and Rashford as well.
Lovely. I'm going to print one of them off. Reese, what are you going for?
Finally, don't have the final call, so I can just mix it right up there, can't I?
You can actually choose what you want.
Phil Jones on the left.
Yeah, Phil Jones, Hannibal, straight in. No,
Tom Eaton through the middle.
Yeah, I think. Well, I like Stu's, but I think I would play Rashford central rather than Alanga. So stick with Alanga wide. I think he's a bit better wider, but could maybe give Rashford a chance down the centre for a change because I don't think he's had much of an opportunity this season to play that position. But yeah, that's what I'd like to see. I think Ronaldo does tend to need a break these days, and he comes back a little stronger. So yeah,
good point.
Yeah, be interesting to see if he has any repercussions for his little outburst the other day. I mean, I can't see it, but there's the potential for it, isn't there? But okay.
I also won't rule out to throw a curveball. He might potentially start someone like Lingard potentially as a curveball because he did start him against Leeds, didn't he? And none of us were expecting it. So I'm not saying he will do it, but it wouldn't surprise me if he did just throw him in there for one game, maybe.
Possibly. I mean, I think he always looks lively when he comes on, but it's just the balance of whether there's any point anymore. But there's that balance with a lot of players in this team now, so I suppose it's no different with Lingard, is it? And obviously,
that's why
as a Red himself.
Yeah, if you take Ronaldo out, if you play Mata, you've got to have a quicker balance within the squad, you see. I'm not, you know, we all know what Ronaldo can offer at the one chance, one goal scenario, but sometimes you just got to take that out of the equation. Front three that's dynamic is far more dangerous, and that will give Mata, I think, if he did play, that will play into Mata's hands in terms of what his ability of, you know, picking a pass and creating space would be ideal.
I think I totally agree. I think our problem has been controlling games for certain periods of the game as well. So having possession of the ball for 5 or 10 minutes, you know, we seem to lose it within the first couple of minutes, and then we're under pressure. You know, with Mata in there, he's good at retaining the ball in tight areas, and I think someone like that gives us a bit more control, especially when Matic has obviously got a range of passing as well. And Fernandez, like Stu said before, can do his thing. He can roam about a little bit left and right and back and forth and chase the ball, or, you know, go join an attack or whatever he needs to do. But them two will sort of play the ball around. And like you said, Ronaldo, sorry, go on.
I feel, just to touch on what you said there, what Mata does bring, he does bring that level of composure. It's almost like when we was even attacking against Everton and Leicester, I know we looked clueless most of the time, but we looked really, really like bad. We looked struggling, ran out of ideas, didn't know what to do with the ball, crossing it in. It was Ronaldo against 7-8 defenders. With Mata, he finds them little pockets, like you said, but he invites players to play on that same wavelength as him. So I think he will bring that level of composure as well, which is a good point.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got that guile about him, hasn't he? He's very Mata's what I call a sly player.
Yeah,
he'll get it and he'll either move it quickly, or he'll get it and he'll control the play. But the good thing about Mata is he can receive it at any angle. He can receive it on the half turn. He can receive it with back to players. He controls it and he holds it, and that's for me is key to any football match. And I'm kind of a bit disappointed because we never saw the very, very best out of Donny van der Beek, and Donny van der Beek does that. He's able to take. If you watched him in his Ajax days, he's able to take the ball on the half turn. Also, he's able to take it with players in and around him. He'll hold it and he'll look and he'll move it. And the thing about Mata is he'll move it 2-3 yards, or he'll move it 40 yards, or he'll take a 5-yard run, or he'll stop and he'll move it. He's a very complicated player, Mata is.
Totally. It's tempo, isn't it? That's tempo. Yeah. He's controlling the tempo. It's knowing when to go and when not to go, and he's controlling the tempo of the game, and that's what Man United miss. It's somebody to control tempo. And we had the best in the business at doing that in Paul Scholes, didn't we? And
Scholes, exactly right. Yeah.
So
I mean, I think it depends what kind of game it is, doesn't it? I mean, a lot of sides now fancy themselves to come to Old Trafford and, you know, get something and actually play with a bit more expansive style.
It's a good point you say that, Simon. But it's up to us to make it the type of game we want it to be.
We haven't actually said much of that, have we?
I don't.
Quite a lot when we play the opposition, don't we? When really you've got to play your game first and foremost. First and foremost, play your game. Forget about the opposition. Play your game.
Go on, you want to say something, Benji?
Sorry, Benji. I'm seeing a lot of people at the moment that are saying, you know, the team doesn't work hard enough. We don't have tenacity. We don't have work rate. But when look, I hate saying this, but when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was doing his press conferences and he mentioned hard work and tenacity and desire, it was all about it. weren't the things that anyone wanted. But now people are looking at the games and going, well, the players don't work hard enough, and they haven't got the desire, and they haven't got the work rate, and it's like,
we want it all, Benji. We want it all.
Yeah,
all the time.
This is what and all of a sudden now these traits are looking pretty good in a football player now, aren't they? So look, I just don't think we work hard enough. I really don't. We got outrun by Everton by over 10 kilometers. By Everton by 10 kilometers. I don't think that is a big gap, especially in the Premier League. And it always comes down to the same thing. If you want the result, you have to work hard for it. And that doesn't matter what any level you play, whether you play a kickabout in the park with your mates. If you want to win, you have to work for it. If you're playing Sunday League, whatever, you have to work for it.
It's minimum. It's discipline. I mean, Jarvis is talking about players tracking back. That is individual discipline.
Yeah.
Individual discipline. It's got fuck all to do with coaching. It's got fuck all to do with anything.
You've got a
apart from
responsibility to track back
individual discipline. That's what gets you over a game of football, which gets you over the line. You cross that white line, you discipline yourself to be the best that you can be on the day, and you cross the white line. You go to training the next day, you discipline. You work hard. And if you're having a bad 2 or 3 minutes, you regroup. You don't hide from the ball, but you regroup. You get it and you pass it simply until you gain your confidence back into the game. It's very, very simple football. I talk about it all the time. Bainesy laughs at me when I say this because I go on a rant about it. But it is a simple game.
It is.
And tracking back, it really is down to the individual players. And if you're not willing to track back in a football team, you shouldn't be playing. Move on, do something else. Go ice skating.
I just think with that comment as well, Stuart, I think that's kind of like where we've gone as United and as United fans. Like, we're so concerned about tracking back. Why are we not concerned about creating chances and going forward? Like that's that should be our first thought. Like that, we're Man United. We've got these players that can create chances, and we're going to move this ball forward and create more chances and put Norwich under pressure. Norwich should be thinking, how are we going to stop Man United from coming and creating 20 chances and scoring X amount of goals? We shouldn't. We should control the game. If you've got possession of the ball and you control the game, you don't have to worry about tracking back necessarily. Obviously,
the best form of defense is attack, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be honest, if the wide players are to drop in 10 or 15 yards anyway, that's where you need them. You don't need them higher up the pitch. You don't need them too far down the pitch. You need them 10 or 15 yards in the middle of the pitch so you have your outlet. You need your outlet. If you bear in mind, lads, when we were when Martial and Rashford were scoring their 20, 23 goal a season each, we attacked the diagonals phenomenally well. And that's because we picked it up deep in the opponent's half, which enabled Rashford and Martial to run and commit the defenders. That's why we were getting a load of penalties, if you remember, guys. Because
I think also I think Ralph was after the Watford game where he said, "My job as a coach is to basically reduce the number of chances the opponents have, maximise the number of chances that we have. To pick a team that will do that." For me, so this tracking back at night is about doing both, isn't it? So,
Well, Jarvis Cocker, I'm sure it's not the Jarvis Cocker, but he says our team's going to lose, so that we picked. So, I don't think we're next in line after Ten Hag at this point. But we always end these previews anyway with a little score prediction and the chance to win £5,000. Yeah, he still hasn't said anything about that. I don't know if he's watched these to the end. We're going to go first goal scorer and correct score prediction. Obviously, there's a league table and a £5,000 up for grabs if you can win this league by the end of the season. So Bainesy, I mean, we've got all of them wrong so far. No one has got anything right. So
I said to Ben earlier, right? I said I've got some horrible curse on me because every single time I've done one of these preview shows since the beginning, I don't think we've actually won. I think there's maybe a couple games we've won. So I'm going to go with Norwich 1-0, Timo Pukki. That's what I'm going to do. Because every other... I'm going to reverse psychology.
Reverse psychology, yeah.
And I'm going to... Hopefully that means... No, we're going to lose, actually. No, we're going to lose.
If we all do that, then maybe.
It's my fault. It's my fault. That's why we're losing. It's my fault.
We'll just,
It has been Mark hosting the post-match shows like Bainesy on the previews.
Stu, for a bit of fun, what you saying, the score and the first goal scorer?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. I just John is right, by the way, to ask the question who has got the discipline, and he is right because none of the players have shown that discipline that we're talking about. So I agree with you, mate. Yeah. That you are right there, Jarvis. Do you know what? I don't know really. I don't know. Normally I can pretty much predict the game, but I don't know on this one.
Well, you're not going to win £5,000. I'm going to go. Do you want Nick Gavs to go?
Do you know what? I'm going to go for a 2-0 win.
Ooh.
And I'm going to go with Maguire to pop a header in to open the scoring. There you go.
Captain Marvel himself. Here we go. Right. Safi, are you going? What's your score prediction and goal score? Satis, sorry. Safi. It's my friend's cat, that. Sorry.
That's all right. I'm going to put my neck out and say United are going to win 3-0.
Oh, we've lost.
Oh, God.
3-0. We can't keep a clean. We can't buy a clean sheet, let alone keep. Stu's gone 2-0 now. Sat's gone 3-0. What have you been watching that game?
No. My thought process behind it is where they've just beaten Burnley, and that and sometimes a team, especially like Norwich, after getting one win, can get a bit overexcited. I think we can maybe exploit that. I'm going to go 3-0 United with. If he starts, I'm going to go Jadon Sancho first goal scorer. If he doesn't start, I'm going to say Bruno Fernandes first goal scorer.
I'll personally buy you a pint. If we win 3-0,
it's about time you bought me one.
Yeah, next time we're out, I'll buy you a pint. Like that.
Straight after the game, and that worked for me last Saturday. To be honest with you, just go straight out and just forget about it. But yeah, John, what are you going for? Score and goal scorer?
Everyone's nicked my predictions, so I'm gonna go even bolder. I think we've had history with this score at Old Trafford with Norwich. 4-0.
4-0.
What is going on?
Have you watched this side this season or what?
No,
Reece, if you go 5-0, I'm going to go mad. Honestly,
right, I'll go for Ronaldo first goal scorer.
Ronaldo.
Reece, you're going to have to go 9-0 now, pal.
Do you know what though? I've gone like boring 1-0, 1-1 this season. I'm just gonna go 3-1. I think it could just be a daft game, and we could actually have a deep. We've had those kind of spells, haven't we, where we've just popped up and had a 3-1 win or a 2-0 where we beat Brighton and stuff like that, and it was like, wow, okay, we played well. Or when we beat Leeds twice this season, so we're due, aren't we? We're due. Yeah. A game, surely to God, we're gonna.
Mike says you're gonna go 5-0. So what are you gonna go for?
Yeah, I might go straight to 6. Actually, yeah. 6. No, I'm gonna go 3-1. 3-1 first goal scorer. I'm Rashford again, so I'm gonna say Rashford's gonna break a bit of a duck and.
Just a bit of trivia. The last time we played Norwich in the Premier League at Old Trafford, we won 4-0, and Mata started the game.
It's an omen.
I remember
we are the best.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
We are the greatest Manchester United managers ever. Yes, it's going to be the case.
For all the negativity, the results are
Well, I'll tell you what, Reece. The results are going to turn because you're doing the post match for your first show, I believe, on Saturday. So everybody, make sure to join us for that one and join Reece for that one. We're going to leave it at that. So thanks everybody for watching. Thanks for getting your comments in. Thanks for liking, sharing, retweeting, and all that good stuff. Thank you to this lovely panel of guests. And if you can enjoy the game on Saturday, and I'm just going to ignore it and maybe I'll watch Match of the Day in the hope that we've done something good. Just avoid the score. Just avoid the score, and just hope Match of the Day is good. But yeah, if you're watching the game, try and enjoy it, and hopefully we can get a good result. And we will see you next time, guys.
Peace.
Peace.
All the best.